Okay, so welcome to another episode of Starting 101. Today we're talking the three requirements for confidence in the face of uncertainty and how starting your business or starting a new project is like riding a motorcycle in New York City. So, welcome to Starting 101. I'm JP from jpadamsonline.com. And this project is basically an experiment to show, can I take essentially like 20 years of experience working in startups and corporate world and take all that and nothing but that and start a business from scratch with nothing but an idea and just the will to do so. So that's really what this is about. And I go on every day or every other day and just document my journey. So today I was kind of like looking and thinking back, and it dawned on me that the idea of starting with nothing and starting from scratch is very much something that is nerve wracking and a little bit scary, really. And, by itself, if there's nothing to compare it to, then it doesn't seem all that crazy, right? But then if you take it and compare it to like real life things, then it seems like, compared to the comforts of a day job and working, that's actually like very comfortable, and you don't have to, like, people tell you what to do. They line up things for you. They set up your roles for you. There are different departments that handle different things. But when you're setting out on your own with none of those things in place and you don't even know what the market is or anything, it's a little bit shaky. So it got me thinking back when, probably it's close to 10 years now. Like, I used to live in New York City, and I used to ride my motorcycle and commute from Brooklyn to Manhattan. And, a lot of people look at that and they wonder and they ask, like, people have asked me, like, you know, isn't it crazy, like, with all the traffic and the way that people drive and everything, like, how did you like feel comfortable doing that? And, I think back to that, and it's funny because I think in a lot of ways, I'm actually more scared of riding a motorcycle in Dallas than I am in New York City in like rush hour traffic. And there's a couple of reasons for that, but the main reason is kind of like in that kind of environment where everything is so packed and everything is so like amped up, it was easy to almost feel confident that everybody's looking, everybody's on alert, everybody's watching out. So they will see you or they will hear you, because if you don't have that level of alertness and awareness, you wouldn't even be able to ride or drive in that environment. But when you have more open space and you can afford to tune out a little bit more, it's a little different. And so I just thought about it and I was like, you know what? Like, getting started on a business or anything like that or a new project is definitely like riding a motorcycle in a dangerous situation. And that kind of like leads to why and how I got to this idea of like, how do you then feel confident in the face of that uncertainty? So, really, like, what it is for me is like there are three things that you really need. And by you, I mean me. But I think it's also like anybody needs to be comfortable in the face of uncertainty. And the first one is like, you got to know where you're going. So, you got to know what your end destination is. And that's enough to know that if you're sure of where you're going, you'll pretty much hopefully find a way to get there. The second thing is you got to know essentially like that you have the ability to handle the next step. Like, whatever the very next action is, you got to know that you have what it takes to handle that. So, I knew how to ride a motorcycle, I knew how to handle situations, I knew how to get out of dangerous situations. So because of that, if I knew my destination and I was confident in my ability to react to whatever was coming in front of me next, and I could just see exactly like where I was going, then I was okay. Like, I could really just, you know, be present and take whatever the next step was, knowing that I knew exactly where I was headed. Um, the third thing though is the tougher one, not for something like a motorcycle commute ride because that's easy. That's 30 minutes, 45 minutes or whatever, maybe a little bit of lane splitting if it's not illegal. But that's a little bit easier. If it's something like a business where it's like you're starting and you don't know how long it's going to take and you're not sure exactly what all of that's going to be, then that's a little bit more uncertain, right? Because you're going to have to hold that idea for a long time. So, but that's the third requirement is being able to hold that end vision of like where are you going and then be able to like kind of like adjust to it. So, you go and there's a road closure, then you have to detour, or the traffic is really bad in this way. So you got to hop off the freeway and take the side roads, or all of these kind of things. And so it's like, but if you have those three things, which is like you're able to conceive where you're going, you're able to react to the next thing that you need to do, and and you're sure of your ability there, then you really can be, no matter how uncertain things may seem, you can be confident that you can actually like adjust and get to where you're trying to go. But it's like, I think that a lot of times when, you get to spinning in your head and wondering if you have all the pictures and everything that you need and you're thinking about, it's a little bit tough because you can, start to like worry and things like that. But it's like, it's really not that bad. And ultimately it kind of like got me thinking of like this one analogy, which again still has to do, today it's all about motorcycles, but it still has to do with motorcycles. And the thing is, like, when I took the basic rider course, and one of the things they talked about was this concept of overriding your headlights. Now it sounds exactly like what it is. So when you're riding on a motorcycle at night, if you get to a certain speed, then what happens is you're going faster. You're going so fast that if you use the maximum stopping power of the motorcycle, by the time the bike came to a stop, you would be further than anything you could see with how far your headlight is shining. So it's basically like your headlight is shining 10 feet, but if you're going at a certain speed, you will not stop till you're 20 feet ahead, which means that you can run smack into something that you have no idea is there. So the idea of like this overriding your headlight is something that is a comforting idea when you're thinking about starting a project, because ultimately it's like your destination. You're on a road, you're heading somewhere. Wherever you're going, that's your vision, that's your target, that's your goal. And essentially, your brain is the motorcycle because you get to start thinking about all these things and worrying and thinking that, what if this happens and what if that happens and everything else. And you rev up so fast that you're basically potentially overshooting your headlight. And the headlight is you, right? You're the one that has to stop, and calm yourself and say, you know what, this is how far I can see. This is how much visibility I have. Therefore, I have to kind of like throttle back any of the thoughts, any of the fears, any of the insecurities that are in my head right now about, you know, what it's going to take to do this. Because anything that goes beyond what I can actually see outside of the vision itself, which is outside of the scope of my, near term vision, then it's pointless for me to dwell on it. And it's basically me overshooting what I can actually handle and take action on today. So that's really the thing. So it's like when you look at, and say, okay, what does it take to be confident, right? It's really knowing the vision and knowing that you are the one that controls how far you can see. And anything else that's beyond that, as far as insecurities, concerns, anxiety, all the bad words that you can think of, any of those things, is outside of the scope of your headlight because you are only seeing like these steps right now. And so you know where you're going, and you have to be confident in your ability to take your experiences and apply it in this situation and react to and do what you need to do in order to move forward. So that's really it. And it's like it's funny because I think the thought really kind of like came to, it's one of these things where I think from David Allen, it's probably, this is like one of the life changing lessons that I got from the book GTD. I don't know if Getting Things Done is a book by David Allen, but there's a point in the book where he says, essentially there are two options that you have at any given point, and that is you can make things up and you can make things happen. And in any life situation, that always gives me a good amount of like confidence about it, because if you don't know what to do, I mean, like you have no idea what you're going to do next, then you know what? You can make something up. You can go research, or you can just like pull it out of thin air, but you can make something up. And once you make something up, you have a target. And if you have a target and a little bit of ability around you, then you can go make it happen. So that's pretty much it for today on starting 101. I would say if you're feeling any kind of uncertainty, like I'm feeling right now, and this is why I came on to share this, then I find comfort in the fact that I know that I have experiences, life experiences, and things like that I bring to the table. And but more importantly, even if I didn't, I know that I have the ability to look at my surroundings, look at what I want, and if I don't really know exactly what the next thing is, I can make it up and I can make it happen. Thanks for tuning in. Like the page on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube if you want to see these when they come on. Again, that's JP Adams Online on here, Facebook, Instagram, and everywhere else. See you tomorrow. Bye.